Good evening, everyone. Thursday night. In this episode, we're going to be talking about change. Right now, change is pretty well. Every world is going through some change right at the moment. Right now, we have been going through massive change with the COVID-19 virus that has been rocking the planet and causing in lockdown and isolation and quarantine. I know not a whole lot of fun for a lot of people, and it's just kind of the way it has been, and we're all coming out of this completely different. Right now, as well, as we're probably all aware, is the U.S. is going through quite a bit of upheaval right now, and so is once again the rest of the world. It's definitely quite prevalent in the U.S., and the rest of the world is supporting the protests of those who are trying to save lives, specifically African American or Black lives. You see the hashtag everywhere of Black Lives Matter, and they truly do. As all lives matter, these folks' lives matter more right at the moment because of everything that's going on and the prevailing racism and injustice that has been levied against them for many centuries. Now, there are other people, obviously, that have other great tragedies as well. However, this one is the one that needs a lot of the focus right now to help prevent that, which will help others get over it and overcome these tragedies as well. So no matter where you look, change is on the horizon, and change will always be on the horizon. Change is one of those things that's just completely inevitable and will always come in some form or another. Whether it's a good form of change or a bad form of change, all depends on the individuals who are trying to implement the change. When people are trying to implement change, hopefully they are trying to make change for the good and not change for the worse. Now, I'm kind of an optimist, and I see the positive in a lot of different things. So I'm really on the idea that most people are trying to change things for the positive. However, you do see time to time, and unfortunately fairly frequently, that there are people out there who are changing, seeing things for the worse, and those folks ahead will eventually get taken out in some sort of fashion. Like you is typically sort of hopefully where they and somebody else that's better off gets put into power. I'm just saying these are hopefully for any kind of violent anything is looking for the more peaceful, positive pacifist. So I guess I'm like a LP where I'm just looking for good positive change that can come up in a manner. And sometimes those peaceful ideas do happen to break down and become a little bit more violent in nature, and that's sometimes how change does come about. I'm not advocating for any kind of violence like that. It's just sometimes happening, and it's very tragic when things have to go to that point where they are more of a violent means, or much violent as just more aggressive, I guess, in some kind of manner. But I digress. We're just going to start talking more what that can mean for you, as you probably see as we go. As just myself, I've also gone through quite a few changes as well. I lost a consistent form of the job about a month ago. So I've been looking at different ways to create income. So I changed myself so that way I have skills and become a better person as well. And part of doing that and kind of just go through my journey a little bit as to what I've been doing to try and make my hopefully that it it gives you some information that will as well, because help in some sort of fact, hopefully here to maybe insight some sort of solution what you might be looking, maybe something that just like an idea that's like, hey, this is a great idea, and you can use that to hopefully potentially change. Now, I am going to say I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a therapist, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a psychiatrist, I'm not anything. So, and I'm be for anything, kind of do your research. Not something before if it does not work, and whether it's good or bad, I got to give that. It's something that I don't anybody. So as you can also see, the full, we've actually got an evolving, and you see we've, like I said, everything does and hopefully changes. I know right now going on in my life. My stepdad, who after having suffered a stroke a couple months ago, big, and we have had to try to accommodate a lot more, which has been, but it's also been get out there and try to figure. They're trying to provide support. He is getting what he does need. Obviously, in that kind of manner, quite a lot, and it is to figure out as well. And it's just something that is, as far as I see, you have three things that are pretty much inevitable. You have taxes and then change. Those are kind of your three variables. Each day is a new day. Each day something. No, you have to change, adapt to each moment, and those scenarios will be different from the same, but there are going to be some differences probably. Accommodating for yourself, which we all do to some fashion, to take into account on how it affect your circumstance. It's not easy. I'm not very good with it all the time, but I don't know if I'm getting things that I can make improvements to my. I also try not to change would make sense. Is this change going to make sense? A smarter move, or is it something that's potentially not? That's really interesting. I'm sorry, just something just kind of caught my eye there. Because I had changed up how we also kind of do the show here and where we send it off to. And one of the spots that I have turned off says that I have one viewer on it, which I'm a little perplexed by. Just because we aren't trying to broadcast this one everywhere, because we're trying to keep this one a little bit more condensed down as to the folks that we are trying to push this one over to. But I mean, it's not a big deal. We just kind of roll with it and figure it out from there. So I'm actually kind of happy that this one's actually working out, because I didn't realize it was still going to be working, even though I had flipped the switch on that one. So that's all good. I don't really mind. It seems like it's a good thing in the end. I thought I would actually have more to probably say on change, but I don't really have a lot to say on it, I guess. I kind of threw this one together at the last minute just because I wanted to keep kind of doing the show, but at the same time, I'm floundering on ideas a little bit, and I'm still looking at trying to change up the show to have guests on as well, to talk about different things as well, to see what I could get for different perspectives as well, because I think that'd be a lot of fun. And it's just something that I'm trying to work with a lot more to provide more service to people, so that way they can get more information and get more ideas to hopefully better whatever the situation that they might be in, or whatever circumstance may be arising with them. So it's just something that's kind of iterating and then trying to figure out something that's a little bit better as well. So one thing I've noticed with life is it's kind of a what's the word I'm looking like way through. You can't control all the different outcomes, but you can different works and what doesn't. And if something, then you can alter up your plan. So mind of what you're wanting to do, but the one path isn't taking you to where you change it up and path take you to that same goal. So you never really want to, I guess, change the goal and be able to find the get. And sometimes that doesn't mean you're following the fork to the right. Sometimes you have to be following the fork to the left, but then you might have to right, and then sometimes you have to maybe back loop around and then come back up. It's never a straight line, obviously, so you want to be able to adapt and come up. It's just something quite a bit lately. Hence why I'm doing this episode on changing. I've on that I really wanted to do, but now I'm having to alter up kind of my path to get to where I'm wanting to be. With duration, it actually would fit along with it pretty nicely. So I'm not too worried about the actual fork in the road that I've had to take. It's just one more step in the same direction. I just had to step onto a different path to kind of get there a little bit more. And it's an enjoyable step, so I'm not worried about that. And something I've been trying to instill with my kids as well is that change isn't something to be feared, it's something to embrace, and that you need to try to take steps for different types of change that may come into your life. Youngest son, who some of you are probably aware is autistic, and he's got actually quite a big change coming up in September for himself, where he's now we have elementary school, which go to grade 6, but the area that we're 5, and then he goes to the middle school, grade 6 to 8. And after that, he'll be in junior or senior high unless they change things around, which would be 11. Accommodate the change that he has going on to the school today to get done, to help him see what he could do with this with the collection. And he's actually taken to it pretty quickly already, which is pretty fantastic. So not complain about his desire to learn and grow, and his ability to accept change quite nicely. Being that he is autistic, that sometimes he is typically not someone who you would think that would accept change quite readily, where he's more routine based and likes things that are a lot more familiar. But being it's still school, it's the same but different. And the big thing for him is it's going to go from a small little school, which is roughly about 75 kids, I think, normally, to, I think they said 630 or something like that. So he's taking this huge step, and it's going to be a lot more kids, depending on obviously the situation with the pandemic and everything come September. Right now, they don't have a lot of kids in the school, and they have certain days where they have fewer kids because it's a day that they go through and kind of clean and disinfect everything, which is on today's like today. So we were able to go up and just kind of visit with the school and get them to check things out and see things a lot better as well. And that seemed to help out quite a bit more on the idea that he was able to just go and visit and not be too overwhelmed, which was fantastic. So that having him go and visit the school on a day that was a little bit a lot more easier, the change at that point. The school, and we also have from the previous his CEA from the other school, which was super awesome. She walked through the door and was just them, and they helped a bit more of an would see what was going on and look what was going to happen for him. And it's just having those people in place to help facilitate his needs and to help facilitate the environment that he was a huge, and being able to help coming up change, I guess, like an emotional support, kind of like animal. Yeah, whereas this like you're with different aspects, maybe help a dramatic lack of income, you've changed. Um, when you are working support around, helps a lot in that kind of instance as well. I know John Maxwell, in one of his books about change, and I wish I could remember which book it was and exactly what he's really. I just was said, and it really made a lot of sense to me. And it's just something that I try to really kind of keep in mind, life, just because it did make a lot of sense, and it was something that I really thought me make sense to others as well. If I can find it, I will definitely put it into some notes somewhere. I'll put it up onto, most likely up onto Twitter, just because that's where information like that to easily access to as well. But with all that being said, I think things to say about change and what change can. I really hope that everything that's going on, a lot more positive changes. Quote unquote new normal is going to be a big change for a lot of people and a lot of businesses. But I think we can all get much inconvenience. We just have to learn that patience and understanding are going to end up with this, and that we just have to look at it. Okay, we need to slow down ourselves and understand that this is the in, and that we are going to have to delay gratification, even though instant gratification things, we are still going to have to be patient. So if we are going to the restaurant, or if you're going to hair done, or it's just going to take for all that stuff to kind of start coming through, and just having that patience, understand that how this is all going to work still. Things will grow and evolve, and things will change, and just to be patient with that. Everything is a process at this point, and new, and it is going to definitely take some. Everything is going to start taking time. Happening right now, us is going to take some. It's not going to be immediate time, but you can start seeing changes coming into effect already. I'm seeing on the news cycle for states and cities and the police departments measures to make sure that they're reining in the authority that's being prevalent. I also unfortunately do see a lot of things, but I have heard stories where things are starting to make a difference and that people are slowly starting to come in. And it is just going to be a process, and we do need to be patient with all changes with the pandemic, the protesting that's going the uh, it's something that patience is going to be where as these changes come along. So patience in hand here, like you can't just typically change things like this overnight. You have to be patient, long game, a bit more on it, but where there's more authoritarian presence, like government officials, people like that, they do need to change things. As far as the pandemic, they do need to figure out working and try to accommodate, fix what isn't working to fix what is working. Asking for a lot of feedback and asking questions of people right now on both sides of everything help with everything that is coming through. Just getting some understanding and figuring things out, and try one thing. If it doesn't work, ask more questions, get more feedback. Trying to iterate different aspects of things, and hopefully eventually just come together and meld and one day the human race being really quite one another. All this, just everything just melding together really nicely. We are starting to see where we're starting to have to rely more in different kind of ways. And it's something that we really have to work on. It's something species we need to start looking at to work cohesively as tribe, in essence. We are a giant global tribe, and we need to start acting more like a community more than a. Oh, I know it's tough. It's going to take a lot of work, but I think we can all make it happen. It takes one person to start showing better